You got a waitress fired and you're proud of that? I don't know if you can justify that to me. Happy apple picking day! For our new friends that don't know what apple picking day is, people send in stories to my subreddit r/amIthebadapple where they don't know if they acted appropriately or not. They're looking for life advice and we are here to give it to them. We read the stories and we decide if we think they're a good apple, a bad apple, or a crab apple. And sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't. But a lot of those differences in opinion come from the fact that we all live different lives and we all have different experiences that shape those perspectives. So if you disagree with someone, that's fine, but before you jump down their throat, maybe have a conversation first. We disagree civilly. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking! Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for making a girl I had a crush on uncomfortable? I'm a 19-year-old male, and this happened towards the end of my first year in college. For some context, we've been friends since the beginning of college year, and she's become one of my really close friends a couple months into school. At that point, I had a huge crush on her and decided that in the next semester, I would try to ask her out. But I kept getting nervous every time I had the opportunity to do it, so I just never did. Then it got to the last month of school and I told myself I had to ask her out before the end of the year. That week, I noticed something was wrong. We went to dinner as a group every day, and for a couple of days, she and another friend just didn't go and never really said why. She also stopped following me on Instagram, which at first I thought was a mistake. Several other little things here and there happened where her and 2 of our mutual friends would avoid, ignore, or act very weird towards me. And then one day I asked our whole dinner table if they wanted to go to an event that was happening later that evening. She quickly said that she was going to bed at that time, which was normal. She did like to go to bed early, so I simply texted other friends and see if they wanted to go instead. But when I got there, her and 2 of her friends who were ignoring me earlier were already in line. I planned on going up to them and asking what was going on once we all got into the event, but once I got there, I guess they snuck out the back door or something. So I sent her a message, just trying to figure out what was going on, because I figured I did something wrong, but couldn't for the life of me figure out what it was. She gave me a vague answer, but I didn't want to push it because I didn't really have any substantial evidence that something weird was happening, and I trusted her to tell me if I really did something. The next day, she blew me off again, so I finally asked her what was going on. What was up? She said that it was because she felt like my eyes were following her everywhere she went, and that I always seemed like I needed to be uncomfortably close to her, which made her very uncomfortable. She said she didn't want to talk about it and hasn't really talked to me since. I guess I was looking at her more than normal, which I didn't realize, and I would choose to sit next to her most times if I had a choice because I really liked her, but I didn't know I was making her uncomfortable. I haven't done anything about it since, and I don't know what to do. I don't think it was my fault, but I need other people's perspectives because I don't know what it looked like from her perspective. So, was I the bad apple? I can see so many different types of people who are going to run to the comments. I have a feeling there's gonna be a bunch of guys who are like,
well, I bet if she thought he was attractive, she would have no problems with it.
So what? Is that not something that you should want in a relationship, to have 2 people attracted to each other? Like, I definitely think you should be attracted to your partner. So for the individuals who are gonna be screaming that stuff in the comment section, let me explain it to you. When a guy exhibits flirty behavior and a woman likes him back, those flirty advances are received well because she also wants to be flirty and she's looking for something to progress. Okay? 1 + 1 = 2. When a guy is exhibiting flirty behavior to a woman and she's not interested and is not receiving and is like putting out signals of no thanks, making herself unavailable, ignoring, walking away, not talking to this person, unfollowing them on social media, that means stop trying. She's not interested. And when those flirty advances continue, when there are clear signs that they're not being reciprocated, that's when the uncomfiness sets in. It's like, oh, I don't like this. I don't want you sitting right on top of me. I don't want you messaging me all the time. I'm not interested. And when the hint's not being taken, now I agree. I think it would have been very mature for her to say, I'm not interested, and be honest about it, especially when he like walked over and specifically asked. She definitely should have told him. I understand that not everyone is good with confrontation, but like if you're gonna tell someone, oh, nothing's wrong, but tell other people, oh, he won't stop sitting next to me, he won't stop messaging me, he won't stop whatever. I know that I have a very extroverted personality, but I don't necessarily like that. But on the other hand, I understand that one, not everyone can be that blunt and upfront, and two, it can be dangerous for women to turn guys down. There are numerous reports of women who turn guys down who end up hit or essayed or stalked. It's serious, okay? So like, even though I wouldn't have handled it that way, I can see why she would be nervous or hesitant to be upfront. So like, I'm kind of changing my own mind about that right now. But like, what I'm not understanding about this kid is
Well, I don't know what to do.
What do you mean you don't know what to do? You leave her alone. You don't fix it. There's no fixing it. She's not interested. She does not want to be in a relationship with you, and you're making her uncomfortable. Move on and find friends and a significant other who like you for who you are, but like, this isn't gonna work out. I'm feeling like this is one of those situations where the friendship was more one-sided, as in like he thought they were very close friends and she did not, is what it's sounding like to me. But like, if someone's unfollowing you off of social media and is avoiding events that you're at and is not talking to you and is avoiding you at all costs, at some point you've gotta like be self-aware and just, maybe this isn't the friendship for me, much less relationship. Like, that's not a girl that you should be pursuing. That's a girl that's definitely not interested. You could tell she was avoiding you. She unfollowed you. She wasn't messaging you back. And I know there's gonna be so many men in the comments that are like, but she didn't say it up front. I don't know how many times I have to tell you. We're at the point in society where women are literally afraid of getting murdered in their houses, because that has happened when women have turned down guys. Is it all the time? No. But how are we supposed to know who the crazies are and who they aren't? It's not like they have neon signs on their foreheads. Use some common sense. Women are being roofied, women are being stalked, women are being beaten, assaulted. Like, yes, it would be so nice for her to just blatantly say, I'm not interested. I get that. As a 5 foot tall woman, I get why she might be afraid to do that. 100%. And if you don't get it, that's privilege. If you don't understand how scary it is to do that, to turn down a guy in person, with numerous examples of articles written about women who have been severely harmed because of it, that's good for you. That's awesome. Can't relate. I'm so lucky that I met Avery early in life. That's awesome. Good for me. Even being married, when I've gone out to bars and telling guys, no, sorry, I'm not interested, it never sticks. They're convinced they're gonna change my mind, and I get harassed until I'm like, I'm literally married. And sometimes that still doesn't work, which is annoying. That's the world that we're in, which sucks. Now, here's the thing. I'm really struggling because I really want to set an example for this kind of behavior and be like, no, like when someone is uninterested, you leave them alone. No means no. Move on. Part of me really wants to go bad apple, but he did ask. He straight up asked her like, hey, something feels weird. Like, I was under the impression that we were good friends and you're acting kind of strange. What's going on here? And she wasn't honest with him, and I get why she might be afraid to do that, but I just feel like this kid, like, genuinely in his own brain thought they were such good friends and thought he was being nice. But at the same time, like, sometimes it's people like that who genuinely think that they have a relationship with someone that they really don't. It's all just kind of in their heads, and like that can also be dangerous. There are a few individuals that I see in my DMs, and I don't open them all the way. Like, I can look at them without opening them. There are a few individuals out there who genuinely believe that like we have a thing going. It's wild. I've never in my life ever responded to them, but they are like convinced absolutely convinced. I don't understand it. It's very strange. I don't even really know how to describe it. It's a little scary. And so on one hand, well, I feel bad for this 19-year-old kid. Like I'm really hoping this kid doesn't mean harm. In general, the behavior itself can be so dangerous. I'm scared to be too lenient and I'm scared to be too harsh. I have a feeling that whichever one I pick, y'all might be able to change my mind in the comments. But I'm more scared that people will come for me because
You're being too harsh, or you're being too lenient, blah, blah, blah. And
I am so scared. Like, I feel like if I go bad apple, people are gonna be like, this is a kid who clearly XYZ didn't mean any harm. There are worse things out there. But I feel like if I go crab apple, people are gonna be like, he could be the next Ted Bundy. Like, you don't know. Can I just pick sad apple for once? I'm going to go crab on the assumption that he's genuinely looking for advice, as in, like, if we say leave her alone, that he will, okay? I'm gonna take it on the he genuinely was unaware of his actions, will learn from this, become more self-aware, and not do that again. And so I'm gonna go crab on that assumption. I'm sure there will be other people who say I'm being way too lenient, and I definitely can understand that also, and I will allow you to change my mind in the comments. So that's the way that we're gonna play this. Wow, I'm sweating. That would stress me out. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for not letting my daughter grieve after her mom's death? I, 39 male, am feeling very conflicted after a decision I made regarding my teenage daughter, 16 female, following the death of her mother. I can't help but to wonder if I made a huge mistake, so I'm turning to Reddit to pass judgment on me on whether I'm the good apple or the bad apple. Since my wife's passing, life has been really tough for me and my 16-year-old daughter. Dealing with my own grief while also trying to provide for her has been such a challenge. My daughter's been extremely distraught, and I can see how much she's struggling emotionally. However, when she asked me for some time off from school to process her grief, I ended up prioritizing her academic performance instead. I'll admit, I've always been a stickler for education, and my daughter is such a bright student who excels in all of her studies, particularly math and science, which are very important, and I wouldn't want to jeopardize that. When she approached me, I couldn't help but to think how it could impact her grades and future prospects. I was concerned that missing school would lead to a drop in her academic performance and potentially hinder her any chances of getting into a good college. I didn't intend to be a monster. I was just so concerned that this would be a domino effect and she'd get so behind that her future could be ruined. Instead of allowing her to take some time off, I suggested she continue attending school and told her that I believed that maintaining a routine and focusing on her education would provide stability and keep her on track. Apparently, my daughter was devastated by my decision. She accused me of not caring about her feelings and prioritizing her school performance over her emotional well-being. She believes that I'm being callous and unfeeling, claiming that I completely dismissed her need for time to heal. Am I the bad apple for putting my daughter's school performance ahead of her emotional well-being? I'm genuinely questioning if I made the right decision and would appreciate your honest opinions. I just genuinely thought that a set routine would help her through the grief process. This is one of those situations where, because of my direct experience, I'm gonna have an opinion that a lot of people are gonna hate. I'm very fortunate that my parents are alive and well, all my grandparents are alive and well, aunts and uncles, everyone's doing good. But my husband is not as fortunate, and his mother passed away right before we got married. And before that, I didn't have a lot of experience with grief or anything like that, but during that process, I really got to see how differently people can handle grief. My brother-in-law really wanted to take breaks and take time and just kind of reflect and remember her. My father-in-law danced around the first stage a little bit longer. So like the denial state. I wouldn't even say denial, more avoidance maybe. He didn't want to take a break. He wanted to go out and do things and be around people and go play sports, and like he didn't want to go back and sit in the house that he and his wife shared. He wanted to be anywhere else. My husband, on the other hand, was so different in that like he wanted to throw himself into work. He wanted to use what happened as a motivator. Like he sat down to take the bar exam exactly 1 month after his mom passed. I could not have done that. Absolutely not. But that he threw himself into work, and that is what helps some people. And that is why I genuinely don't believe that this dad had malice towards the kid. I think that everyone just experiences grief so differently. And I think when you're new to grief, it can be very frustrating seeing people experience it differently than you. Like you can almost feel like they're not upset or they're not grieving or you're alone in this, because I watched the boys do it. Like they had to really figure out that they were all just experiencing grief very differently. For me, just because that is something that I witnessed, I feel like that is probably the case here, at least from my perspective, how I'm reading it, is that maybe the dad experiences grief a little bit more like Avery and is like, oh yeah, throwing yourself in your routine and your stuff, keeping yourself busy, like uses motivation, make sure you don't get behind, like that's the way to get through the grief process. And the daughter just does not feel that way and is feeling alone and feels like he doesn't get what she's going through and isn't experiencing it the same way that she is. I think there might just be different ways of coping going on here. So I don't feel like I can give him bad apple for taking what might help him to grieve and just assuming that it's gonna also help his daughter. But I don't feel like I can go good apple either, because she kind of went to him and told him like, hey, I want a break, I need something different, and he wasn't hearing her. And the reason that I'm not going to give him bad apple for that is because like I experienced that, and I don't think it's an on purpose thing. It's just such a lack of understanding, I guess, is the best way that I can describe it, of what I experienced with the guys. So I am going to go crab apple. I definitely think that other people who experienced grief could definitely go bad apple, which is totally fine. And I would love for you to try and change my mind in the comments. I also a lot of the times really like to assume the best in people, so I could be missing the mark and I could be like just giving dad too much credit, and if you think that I am, let me know. I definitely think that someone could change my mind. That's just the only experience with this kind of thing that I have, and so that is why I picked crab apple. So let me know if you think any differently. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for giving a 14-year-old girl a taste of her own medicine? I, 20 female, love to post videos about my cats, my girlfriend, and Jewish traditions online. I'm no stranger to hate, but I recently started getting spam hate messages from this one account. At first I ignored it and just blocked them, but then they made a second account and started to comment horrible things, saying the F slur, being extremely anti-Semitic, leaving comments worse than most of any of the other comments I've ever received from adults. I took a picture of the comment, the account, and reported it, and the account got banned. However, they once again came back making new accounts and were just more careful about how they said and worded things. Still being extremely hateful, just made sure that the bots couldn't detect hate speech. Now I could tell it was the same person because the profile picture in the bio stayed exactly the same for all these accounts. And the usernames were almost identical. They just had like one number difference. They also kept posting photos and videos on their account, and it looked like it was a girl who was about 13 or 14 years old. I'll be the first to admit I don't know much about children, but I do know that sometimes they don't know what they're doing or saying is wrong. So I decided to try and explain it to her. It was just so hard for me to believe that a girl her age could be that hateful, especially since I'm the type of person who wants to see the best in people. Well, that didn't work, so I did some sleuthing and I found the kids' parents. I reached out to them with my screenshots to show what their child was saying, with the hopes that they might be able to do something about it. The parents, however, defended their kid, saying that she was just a child and that I, as an adult, should rise above this. And if this were just a normal situation, I would agree, but the anti-Semitism, the homophobia. This girl's going out of her way to be hateful. This isn't just normal kids saying dumb stuff. This is hate speech. I also knew that if this kid was this bad at 14, she would just get worse as she got older. My last straw, though, was when she started to leave nasty comments on my followers' videos. I decided to give her a taste of her own medicine. I used my secondary profile and copy and pasted her milder comments back onto her videos. Mostly ones where she calls me ugly or something, and eventually she backed off. I'll say I'm not proud of myself for this in the slightest. I mean, it really goes against my nature to be mean to people, but I was desperate. I already felt bad about it, but when I told a friend, she said that I'd gone too far, and that even if she was a bad person, she's still a child. My girlfriend, though, was on my side, and my grandma, whose parents survived the Holocaust, told me that I didn't do anything wrong, since she was the one leaving those particular comments and I didn't come up with them. I still feel kind of bad though and want to know, was I the bad apple? I have very specific thoughts about this, okay? So hate comments, I am not a stranger to those. When it comes to hate comments, I love to be nice to people, okay? You guys know that I love to be kind. When it comes to trolls, I love to be sassy. I do, I can't help it. Especially when they say dumb stuff. Like one time, someone literally commented on my video.
Well, we all know teachers only go into teaching for the paycheck.
What paycheck? What? Where are you seeing a paycheck? I love responding to the dumb. Can't stop, won't stop. But I don't necessarily agree with how this person went about it, okay? I definitely agree that when it comes to someone who's just going out of their way to be hateful, especially when it comes to hate speech, because if you think that I don't get hate speech when it comes to being Jewish and my family's also being Holocaust survivors, oh boy, do I get messages. But here's what I do. When people post dumb stuff that's just like blatant misinformation, I'll correct it. But when someone's just being hateful and just insulting, I will literally copy their comment and just rephrase the exact same thing back to them. And I know a lot of you are gonna be like, it's the same thing. It's not, because I'm not posting it on their profile. And I also would never, ever, ever like come back at them for their appearance. Let's be honest for a second. Do you think people don't make comments about my nose or my forehead? Of course they do. Am I gonna come back at a person, especially a child, for their appearance? No, because I don't agree with going after them for their appearance. I'm beautiful just the way that I am, and my husband thinks so too, so I don't really care what they think. Just throwing it out there because I know that those lurkers are watching. Can't give them the satisfaction because it genuinely doesn't bother me. But like if someone were to leave a comment on my profile and just be like, oh, you're so ugly, blah, 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 I would probably rephrase that into calling their attitude or personality ugly, but I just don't agree with making fun of people's appearances. That's just not my vibe. This person went on a child's video on a secondary account that this kid might not know. She just sees a random person coming onto her videos calling her ugly. She might be a demon child. I still don't agree with going after a 14-year-old girl's appearance. With makeup and beauty filters and AI and things like that, like, do you know how many body image issues women, especially young girls, are dealing with right now? Like, I don't agree with that. So for me, where this person crossed the line was going back and making fun of her appearance, and specifically doing it on her profile with like a secondary account. If you're gonna throw someone's rude comments back in their face, I do it right on their comment from my account on my profile. Because if you're gonna do it, like, own up to it, you know? But I just feel like too many of my own personal lines were crossed in this particular story for me to settle on Crabapple. Like at first when she's like, oh yeah, I took some of her milder comments and like threw them back at her, I might have been able to go Crabapple, but when I heard, oh, well, it's from a fake account and I called her ugly, I don't like that. Not that I think that this 14-year-old girl is any saint at all. I think that's a terrible kid and her parents are to blame 100% of the time. But I don't like this particular reaction. It crossed too many lines for me. And parents, control your dang kids. I'm sorry, no. Your teenager shouting hate speech at people on the internet is not normal. That's not a kid behavior. That's a bully. Be a parent. My gosh. But again, this particular way of getting back at her, just too many lines. I'm going bad apple for that one. But I'd be very interested to know what you guys think. Did they cross your lines also? Do you think it's acceptable? I would love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. I don't always get to respond to everything, but y'all know I read. I really do read as much as I can. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for getting our waitress fired? I, 27 female, went to dinner with my family for a celebration. We love sushi, and anyone who does as well knows that lately, finding a good sushi place for a good price has been rough. We used to go to this place that did BOGO rolls, but they stopped. What that means is that if you buy one sushi roll, you get another one free, and that's awesome. A friend of ours said that another place nearby still did that, so we decided to try it out. As soon as we got there, we asked our waitress, hey, we heard you guys did BOGO rolls Monday through Thursday for dine-in, and today's Thursday. Is that still the case? Can we get that promotion? She said yes. She was pretty positive, and we were excited. We each ordered 2 sushi rolls, and they were amazing. Fresh ingredients, just excellent all around. My husband and I decided to treat everyone because we were all celebrating, and we decided to grab the bill. I honestly just instinctively grabbed the receipt, placed my card in the book, and handed it back. When she came back, we went to write in the tip, and we realized the amount was much higher than it should have been. We then looked at the itemized list and realized our waitress didn't discount any of the sushi we ordered, so we tried to find her so she could void the transaction and fix it. The thing was, though, she was gone. Nowhere in sight. After about 5-10 minutes of looking for her, we flagged down another waitress and told her there was an issue with our bill, so we really needed our waitress to come back. We saw this person go to the back hallway and start arguing with somebody. 5 minutes later, a completely different waitress comes to our table and asked what was going on. We told her what happened and that we just needed the bill to be fixed when she told us this restaurant hadn't done BOGO sushi rolls in like a year. I said, that's not what our waitress told us. The server said, yeah, well, she's been away at college, so she just didn't know. She just recently got back. I said, okay, that's fine, but we ordered all of this food under the impression that it was gonna cost a certain price. That's why we specifically asked our waitress at the beginning of dinner, are there BOGO sushi rolls? And our server said, yes. This server said, yeah, and your waitress came back and asked me if we still did them, and I told her no. I said, okay, you might have told her no, but she did not relay that information to us. She told us you did still have that offer. The server sighed and she said, all right, I'll be right back. She returned and said, the owner would like to offer his apologies for the mix-up and would like to put 10% off on our whole bill. 10%? The promotion that we were told we would have would have been 50%, half off, buy one, get one. 10% is not the price that we were told we would pay for this sushi. So I said, no, your server specifically told us this promotion was in place. We asked her and came here for that promotion, and when double checking with our server, she said, yes, we can offer that for you, which prompted us to buy all this food. You can't turn around and tell me, oh, I'm sorry, she gave you the wrong info and it's actually double the price after you ate it all. If someone would have told us beforehand, we just wouldn't have ordered it. I'm not paying for all these rolls. The server sighed again and went back to the back hallway and started arguing with more people, but we couldn't see who. Still haven't seen our original waitress again. The server came back and said, fine, the owner is gonna uphold the BOGO rolls and it'll be that. I thanked the server profusely and I told her I'm so sorry for the trouble and I really appreciate her helping with this misunderstanding. We just weren't gonna pay for what we were told was gonna be free. Once she left, one of my family members said, yikes.
We probably just got that girl fired. That sucks.
I felt terrible. I didn't intend for anything like that to happen. I just didn't feel like it was fair for her to tell us, oh yeah, these are buy one, get one. You can get all this food for free, and then surprise us with the bill after with just kidding. We made sure to tip her on the original amount, not the discounted one, and just left. It's been 24 hours, and I still feel so awful. I'm worrying that we cost a struggling college student her job. So was I the bad apple? You cannot convince me that the right decision would have been to just pay double the price. Nope, can't be me. I absolutely would have complained. I know that there are people out there who would not have, because you're like very worried about bothering servers and things like that. But as someone who was a server for 6 years, like I feel like I know what is reasonable and what is not, and that's not reasonable. If your waitress says, oh yeah, this is a promotion that's in place and this is how much it will cost, the bill should reflect that. There's no,
Oh my god. I was wrong. But you can just go ahead and pay the full price.
like, no, that's ridiculous. If I messed up something like that, I would just go with my tail between my legs and tell my manager and just be like, I need you to comp this, I'm so sorry. And he just would. And he'd be mad at me, but he would be mad for like an hour and then he'd move on. Now, I don't know how many people are in this party, okay? This was a party of like 10 people, and so they had to comp 10 sushi rolls. That might be a little significant, and I think she might maybe at most get written up, but I don't think she'd get fired for that. Maybe in a very drastic scenario, because she went and asked and they're like, no, we're not doing that promotion anymore. Like, it's over. They have to pay full price. And she didn't go back and say anything. It depends. If she genuinely just thought she could get away with it, maybe they would fire her. But if she really just got caught up with other tables and got distracted and honestly just forgot to go back and relay that information, which is possible. Again, I was a server for 6 years and dinner can get busy. I'll never forget one time I just forgot that I had a table. I still feel bad about it to this day. This was 7 years ago, maybe? I completely forgot they existed. I was the only one on staff and I was slammed and we just had a weird pop-up after lunch. I was the only one there and I just completely forgot they existed. They probably sat there for like 30 minutes and I still feel terrible about it. We're all human, we all make mistakes. But that's just to say, it is very possible that this girl just genuinely forgot. And listen, if I could forget that a table was there for 30 minutes, I'm pretty confident that her job would be safe forgetting to go back and tell them that. I mean, yeah, it's a big deal and she shouldn't have done that. I'm choosing to believe that it was an accident, okay? This whole episode, I'm just trying to give people a benefit of the doubt. I'm just in that kind of mood today. So like in my brain, her job's fine. And if she's one of those people that's like going away to college and coming back for the summer, then she's been there for a while to have that arrangement with the restaurant. So like, I think her job's fine. But no, I don't think it's wrong to call out your bill being double what it should be. I can't imagine a good reason to just convince people to pay it. Like, I don't know if you'll be able to convince me on this one, but you can try, okay? I'm going good apple for the people. I really don't think anyone can give me a good enough reason as to why it wouldn't be okay, but go ahead, take your best shot. I'm ready. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. All right, so today we have 2 good apples, a bad apple, and a crab apple. Oh my God, is that the curse? Ah! No, the curse is 2 good, a bad, and a crab, right? Yeah. We're good. We're good. I think that there are a lot of people that could get different votes than me. I think there are a lot of people that could convince me to change my votes maybe. I would love to hear yours in the comments. Were you similar, different? Can't wait to read them. And for your well wishes today, I hope if you're a sushi lover that you find a really good and affordably priced sushi place that you and your friends and family can go to and enjoy. That's my well wishes for you. Now I'm feeling sushi. I need to call Avery and ask if he wants to get sushi. As always, if you want a chance for any of your stories to end up on my series, you can submit them to my subreddit r/amIthebadapple or my Discord. I'm still learning Discord. It's been more of a process than Reddit. Y'all know Reddit took me a while. Now Discord's taken me a while. So I'll link that down in the little bio. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you guys next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah!